Hey guys, welcome back. So I want to go on a different note than I did yesterday and talk about a couple books that have made a difference for me when studying. Now, it goes without saying, I'm not the best artist, and that's okay. I don't have a lot of time to put into artistry while I have my full-time job, but I know during the summers I always see an uptick in productivity and my ability to create more realistic drawings and proportions. So I kind of wanted to share some of my favorite books for that. They're the Morpho series. Morphology is English, but the Morpho series. Let me grab them. So this collection I really like. I went ahead and got all of the series that I could find. I believe the most popular one is typically this one, which is Simplified Forms. I believe this is the one that I see most times. So just to give you a preview of what's in it, in case you're interested, it has, of course, simplified forms, but it's pocket-sized almost. And so the great thing about it is it's got this lay flat binding, and you can really just stick it on top of your sketchbook. It's really easy to manage. There's not a lot of fluff in it. It's just, here is, for example, the torso. And then when you open that section up, it's giving you just really clear, easy to follow examples of what that looks like. Arms raised, arms down. It's really nice. I like it because of its portability, because it is so small. It is smaller than, let's see. So I have a Muji pen. And if you're in the stationery community at all, you'll know Muji, or even just like Asian stationery. I'm pretty sure this is a Japanese pen. The Muji store is pretty popular. But if you look, I mean, really, this is a small book. I have small hands, so it may look bigger. And then a regular big pencil, same thing. I mean, it's small. So I think if you are looking for some sort of reference book to take with you and have, I think this is super simple. I think this is a good, and also the pages aren't, like, this is a good option because it's not something that's going to get torn up very easy. It does have that lay flat binding, so it's actually got like an exposed binding edge. And then you've just kind of got this plasticky cover for it. However, the pages are like a thicker paper. They almost feel like sketchbook paper themselves. I don't know if it's like recycled paper or something like that, but it's tough enough to be in a bag or, a purse and be fine. So again, this is simplified forms. If I was going to get one, this is probably the one that I would go for. I hope you guys can see this. I don't know if it's blurry. I think you can. This is probably the one that I would go for because it has all the basics. It has almost everything that you could need. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. I have the other 4 in the series. So there are, and I believe there's one more, but I couldn't get it, I think, for some reason. So I bought these off Amazon because they were pretty hard to find. You can get a PDF of this one, I'm pretty sure, off the Internet Archive. So that's an option if you just want to preview it before you buy. So here is the Skin Joint Morpho book. And it's pretty similar. It has very similar posing, and it just takes it farther in these ways. So the other ones were the simplified forms. This really gets into the details of like what is actually under those forms. So for me in particular, like that is such a good thing, because I do like the simplified forms, but then when I'm drawing from imagination, I notice that my forms are not as good as they could be because I don't have the technical knowledge. And I feel like this book is great about giving the technical knowledge behind how those forms are simplified. Sounded like a snake there for a second. I also have the fat and skin folds version, or volume, I guess you'd call it. And I love it. I think it offers such good, like, forms, I guess would be the word for it. It really shows you how the folds work, how the skin is going to fall. And I think that's something that if you want to do any sort of realism or you want to have fully realized worlds, I just feel like you need things like this because not everyone will have the same body type, and we know that, but we obviously have our styles and we stylize things to the point where sometimes everyone does look the same. I love it. They even show little babies and like how their fat folds would form, and I think that's great because how often do you actually get to see like babies and how to draw babies? Like obviously there are resources out there, but usually you have to buy a whole nother book. You don't usually get that in, you know, like for example, a figure drawing book. Usually it would just be adults. So this one, I think if you are drawing realistically or you want diversity in your world, I think this one is just excellent. The next one is joint forms and muscular function. So the other one I had, just for reference, was skeleton and bone reference. So I think I may have missaid that earlier. And then this one is joints and muscles. So again, let me kind of show you. I'll show you a similar photo because we looked at the torso earlier for the other ones, for simplified and then for joints. So I just really like how they're broken down. And I also like that depending on what you need, you know, if you have a pretty good understanding of anatomy and you just need to know how to simplify the forms, then you just need the one book. If you have, you know, a great idea on the skeleton and the bones, the proportions that way, then maybe you only need, you know, the muscle references. I do kind of like that it is a bite-sized reference book. And so I don't have to carry all three. I can, and it's still not very big. I mean, I would say each of these are a centimeter a piece. So I think that's still, it's no bigger than probably a book, just a regular old book. So I think these three are key. Joint forms, skeleton and bone, simplified forms. If you get any of them, I think those three are the most good and the most, have the most value. I also have, this is my last one. I have clothing folds, and creases, which I'm not great at. For example, let's say for this one, I am trying to draw, like I have a form, I've built it, I can't find a good reference photo. Like let's say that's what I'm doing. So this one is really great for, it actually will just give you kind of like, almost like a mannequin form and then show you how it will lay on top. So that's really nice if you have a pretty good idea of how to draw a body, but you don't really know how to fold clothes over it. I really hope that these are showing up clear for you on there. I have a little viewer down here. I have my iPad set up where I can kind of see the phone that I'm filming on. And it looks a little blurry for me, but I'm hoping that's just because it's filming at an odd angle. This one I feel like might be for more advanced artists. I find that I hardly get to this one because I'm still needing to focus so much on form. So if I'm drawing clothing, I have a reference because I need that. I'm not going to be just going out and drawing clothes on a figure that I have drawn, like from a figure drawing class. I'm not going to try to put clothes on it because I really don't know how. So this is the collection that I have. I have 5 of the books, and then on the inside it speaks about the other ones. So there are also, let's see, there's Anatomy for Artists, which I believe is another book on top of Simplified Forms, Skeleton, and this Joint Forms. There's also Hands and Feet that have their own book. This is kind of what they look like. Shows you kind of the other books in the series. And then when I opened up the other covers, because they all have kind of like what's available in this series, there's a lot more than what I actually knew existed when I first bought the book. So I've had these for probably 2 years. And when I open up this one, there's also Muscled Bodies. So that's the only other new one I see over here with the Hands and Feet. I'll check our others just to see if there's any more out there. It looks like when I bought Fat and Skin Folds, the only books out at that time were Simplified Forms, Skeleton, and then Anatomy for Artists. So I think, yeah, I'm only missing Muscles, Hands, and Feet. Hands and Feet, not feet. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to get on here, and I guess you could call this a review, but I think these are really handy reference books. It can be really hard to find model references unless you're buying them from someplace like Cincy Stock, or I guess you can get those free. But like Graphite Studio, I do know like King Cholera has a Patreon, which is only like, I think a pay what you want, and you can get free models, but they're not real people. They're like made in Blender, I believe. And so those are all good options, but sometimes it's nice to just have a book, especially if you're a traditional artist. So I highly recommend these. I think it's worth it. If you were going to buy just one, I would probably get just Simplified Forms. And then if you feel like you want to buy more than one, depending on what you're not, great at, Joint Forms or Skeleton. And then if you can already draw pretty well, I definitely think the Fat Folds. And then Clothing is the one that I don't think is as useful, but it could just be that my skill level isn't at the point where I can use it. So I hope you like this. Let me know if you have any of these books. If you have the Hands and Feet or Muscular one, I'd love to know what you think about it, if you think it's worth adding to the collection and just completing the set. But yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.